Hey guys, this is iActual.ix with Rollout Reviews, bringing you another LBX review. This time it is Danball Senki Wars Trivhine. Now, once again, I don't want to say that this is the upgrade of Orvane, but it is Haruki's second LBX in the series. Taking a look at the manual here, we can see some product images of a painted up model built by a professional modeler. You're not going to get something that looks this good straight out of the box. Haruki there. On the inside, we have full color, easy to follow instructions, and on the back we have a little comic here. So let's take a look at the kit in further detail. Now, while Blastrizer was a completely new mold, Trivhine shares many parts with Orvane. In fact, some of the parts on the sprues are exactly the same, and both of the kits share the same C-plate. There are some parts from the feet of Orvane, the multi-gimmick sack, the arms, and even the head that you don't use when building this kit. So don't be surprised that there are extra parts you don't use. I accidentally cut out the head parts before I knew I didn't need them. It actually comes with another one of these rod pieces from Orvane's weapon. I know there were some people who lost this piece. So if you did lose this piece, this is a great way to get it instead of, buying a new Orvane or just never having his hammer out ever again. So that's convenient. Like I said, Trivhine has some very similar parts. The whole chest area is exactly the same, and the upper legs are exactly the same. However, there are some stickers to differentiate the two. It has some dark green stickers up here, which are actually surprisingly easy to apply. It has some stickers on the thighs here, which are really nice, some camo details. These stickers here are exactly the same. No stickers on the feet at all, which is really nice. The tail is exactly the same, however, this sticker down here is red instead of orange. He has a red motif all across him. I guess not a motif, but a red color scheme all across him instead of the orange of Orvane. I actually hadn't applied this sticker here in my Orvane review, but since then I have, and it's actually not as tricky to apply as I thought it was then, so that's nice. As for new stickers, they're all on the arms. The arms are the newest part of this guy. Oh, I guess there are some on this section back here, these little dark green stickers. But he's got some Janok logos on the shoulders there, and the orange part of the claws are entirely a sticker, which is a little unfortunate, but they go on pretty nicely, and if you don't mess with it too much, they won't get too scuffed. New parts on this guy, the entirety of the arms are new. I really like his new head sculpt. It's a lot more dinosaur-like, I think. It's got the horn there, some spikes back there, and for whatever reason, it actually allows a lot more movement than Orvane's head, which is a much-needed improvement. The feet are completely different. They don't have the treads anymore. They're just pretty much clawed feet. They have, a lot more movement than the feet on Orvane had, but the one downside, I think, well, his tail still falls off, but the one downside of these feet is that the back claw back here actually doesn't touch the ground, so it does make him a little bit wobbly. Instead of his multi-gimmick sack, he has this piece back here with these little Stegosaurus-looking spikes, I guess. You can pull this off and replace it with a multi-gimmick sack if you'd like. So that is there. And his arms, like I said, completely different. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the articulation. Again, the head, a lot more movement than Orvane. Because it has these spikes up here, it still can sometimes be hindered by the arms, but that's just a problem with the design, not a problem with the toy. It does still have the chip gimmick on the inside there, and this extra joint is there because of that. The waist rotates. This piece still has trouble staying on sometimes. The arms go forward and back, in and out. A little bit hindered sometimes just by these. If you bring the arms out, they will conflict with each other. The arms do come off if you want to customize this guy. Maybe a little too often on him. I don't know if there is as much clearance between the shoulders and the torso on this guy as there was on Orvane, unfortunately. The arms, they rotate here, bend at the elbow. This can sometimes conflict with the armor up here. There's quite a few conflictions in the articulation of this guy, unfortunately. He has no hands at all. Instead, he has these claws, so no articulation there, obviously. The legs, they go forward and back, in and out. They're virtually identical up here to Orvain. However, he still has the knee joint, but you get a lot more use out of it with this guy because he doesn't have all of that back weight, so straightening out the legs won't cause him to topple over. And then he has some articulation in the ankle here, a tilt there. It would be nice if he had a joint there as well, but, oh well, like a hinge joint, but alas. Now, instead of the big ore cannon that flipped over his shoulder, this time Trivhine has the tri-cannon, which the entirety of the gimmick is in his arms, and I think that's cool. He's very self-contained. Now, he has these little cannons up here, and he can shoot people at close range with those, but his arms transform and combine into the tri-cannon, so let's do that. Very simple. You bring the arms forward, straighten them out a bit. And then he has these little half cannons here. They pull out and slide down. Let's get a closer look at that. They pull out, they actually peg in here, so they're secure. Then when you pull them out, they become loose. You bring them here, and they don't actually lock in anywhere down here. Instead, you combine the two. There's some pegs on one side, some holes on the other, and it creates one cannon in the center. Just like that. Get them lined up a little better. And then these two cannons on the side here actually pull out and then move forward. And you can use the movement of the shoulder armor to line up the three cannons. And it's as simple as that. There is the tri-cannon. He shoots three massive beams out of those, and it ends up being very cool. So, finally, let's just do a proper comparison between him and Orvain, and then we'll finish up. Very simple to get him between the cannon and just standing there, whereas with Orvain it was very much an ordeal to get through the transformation between the ore cannon and just standing there. So here the two are together. There's a lot more mass with Orvain. Trivhine is a little bit cheaper. He's a cheaper kit. They're very, very similar, like I said. If you don't have Orvain, I'd say get Trivhine. But if you have Orvain, I'd still say get Trivhine. It's only the other way around that I wouldn't recommend. If you're getting Trivhine, I wouldn't say get Orvain. He's not only a little more expensive, but he has a lot more problems, I think. This guy is self-contained and a lot better executed. Although it does really come down to which one you think looks better. This guy has a bit more of a military motif, whereas this guy's a little more dinosaur looking, I guess. Either way, like I said, it depends on personal preference. They're very, very similar kits, so choose which one you like or just get both of them. I don't care. Anyway, that is about it, guys, and this is IX signing off.